Inspirado. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to pause this edition of Inspirado Projecto because of an emergency broadcast system. Inspirado Projecto.
Good evening. This is Frank Edward Nora from the rambling audio universe of OnSug Radio, the Overnightscape Underground. And you're listening to Inspirado Projecto.
Thank you so much, Baba Booey and the other Yachtley Crew misfits who contributed to that opener. This is Inspirado Projecto. I'm your host, CEC. This is number 4 in the series known as the Crisis on Infinite Podcasts. This is number 4. I did number 3. That's out. Number 2 was done by Frank. Crisis on Infinite Podcast number 2. And then John Carl Pepe started it with beginning a multi-part crossover event. So there are 4 parts here. John Carl Pepe put one up on his podcast. I'll put that into the description. Frank Edward Nora did his version, and I'll put that description in, and then you can hear mine. So we're going to have quite a few different guests on the show. I'm not sure who. We have no idea who. But sit back, relax, listen to Frank, John, and I geek out about Andy Kaufman and that whole crazy phenomenon. Thank you for listening to Inspirado Projecto Ecto. That book, did you guys?
I'm more confused than ever now at this point. Okay.
Did you guys read Book of Illusion?
I was going to mention you mentioned the acrostic thing. Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
Oh wait, no, you're talking
Book
about
of Illusion, the Paul Auster book.
Yeah, that's a fucking beautiful book.
It is.
I love
It
that.
I'll have to check
is.
that one out.
And it makes sense that Maddox would borrow some ideas from that in this mythos, because it's.
And now
cool.
you got to wonder, does Paul Auster wrapped into all this as well?
Yes.
You know? Or that woman who wrote the book, Was This Man a Genius?
I never read that one.
Yeah, that was a really interesting. She was a New York Times.
He has the big hat, the big cowboy hat on his head, right?
No, that's Wrestling with the American Dream by Florian Keller, who's another. So this woman who wrote I think her last name is Hecht. She wrote the Was This Man a Genius? Florian Keller wrote this other book.
Oh.
I've never really seen anything else by these other two people either.
Interesting.
And you mentioned the acrostic book.
Oh, yeah. The Billy's
Maddox,
back. And
Maddox has I think it's a Book of Illusion or whatever, by the King, right?
That's crazy.
And it's got the acrostic thing, and you line it all up. Because I got it from Amazon, and you line it all. Like half the book are blank pages.
Yeah.
But then there's all this stuff, and you put it together, and it's just like Andy Kaufman, with the clues in the back, because he gives you a little
follow
thing.
there's like an Easter egg.
It just says like Andy Kaufman faked his death. Like it's just, so it's just. There's all these great disparate pieces.
It's nuts. Well, I was interviewed by this French magazine. It was called SoFilm, SOFILM, and Jim Carrey apparently is interviewed in the thing too. And this guy was interviewing me, this French guy, and I was trying to explain to him the best that I could, but I'm sitting there thinking, is he actually going to get all the nuances of everything that I'm telling him? Or is there going to get something lost in a translation?
Sure, yeah.
And so when I finally found the, because I think maybe he found me through the that Huffington Post article or something.
Yeah.
And so he was asking about all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, the evidence that I have, and I'm putting it in quotes because it's not necessarily evidence, but it's evidence to me.
Yeah.
And just whether I've taken it off of the Wave and Wake forums, or whether it's something off the AndyKaufmanLives.com site, or wherever it was, I would just save up this whole hard drive of this stuff, and I gave all that stuff to John Lundberg, hoping that he put those things into the movie.
Yeah.
Stuff that we've seen at AndyKaufmanLives.com, where you see this guy who's got a white beard, and he's in a canoe. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah.
And he's in a canoe, and I thought, oh my God, is that a picture of Andy Kaufman? Right. Or is that a picture of Steve Maddox or whatever? I just went, I saved it, and so I gave all that stuff to John Lundberg. And so when I'm telling this guy, and I'm putting it in quotes, it's funny because when I saw the translation, he's like, and he quotes evidence. It almost seemed like he was trying to paint me as a guy who was behind the thing or something. That I was the Steve Maddox character or something. Like, evidence. And I'm like, I could see how that could get lost in translation. Because to me, it's not evidence, but to me, it's my evidence. Yeah. Because that's all I got. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, that's what it was, like the division among the fandom, too. How there was a point where you had people accusing Kat of being Steven.
Yeah.
Or Melody Clark.
And then
accusing
Steven. Frank for being behind the scenes.
Yeah. And yet, it's funny because
even Melody Clark, there's a good name from the past.
And it's just funny because it's like, even if you're tangentially tied in, like you get pulled in.
You do.
I remember when I was working at the vet hospital, and one of the doctors just looked me up on Google, and he's like, "Why are all these pictures of Andy Kaufman showing up when I search for you on Google?"
That's brilliant, right? Because anyone coming in brand new to this stuff, it's like, okay, what have I got myself into? Where do I go first? Someone please guide me along this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you even go to first? Like, do you go to the Brad Friedman, the Brad blog thing, which is way down there in the search engine?
You got to look for that.
You know, I mean, there's so many of these things. There's the Network 54. Remember that chat thing? Oh my God, there are just so many things.
And that's the other thing too, is that especially with whatever Steven is behind, the band. I told this to Frank before, like, I don't know where he finds the hours of the day, but he puts so much out there that as much as you think you found, there's stuff you haven't found. And then when Steven says, and then when Steven says, "Oh, this Andy Kaufman thing, that's not the only thing that I muck around with.
Oh,
there's other stuff
what
that
are
I
those
muck
other
around
things?
with."
I was wondering about that as well. Like, he's working on all this other stuff.
Yeah.
What is that other stuff? We don't know. We don't have any clue about it.
I have some ideas that I could immediately go to right now. One of them would be, remember when John Cotner was out there claiming to be Elvis, right?
The man with the voice of the king.
And Orion. Not Orion, Arion.
Yeah.
So I can immediately say, okay, maybe he has something to do with that. John Teeter is another great one that you guys probably, if you guys been keeping up with John Teeter through the years, right? Or Titter. So he's the time traveler.
Okay. Oh, John Teeter.
2036,
Yeah, I know about
so
that one.
It could Maddox be a part of that guy?
Right.
Could he be part of, I've seen so many things where I go, I feel like that's kind of a similar frequency as I feel like, is there a Maddox kind of back there kind of weaving this thing together? Because
I pointed out with Arian, if you rearrange the letters, it's Nora, and my last name is Nora.
Interesting.
Even though I'm not Arian.
I love it.
Nora.
But Arian
Interesting.
has
That's
been
so true.
But Arian has been, I mean, he's an old thing. Like, he comes out of Orion. And it's like we were saying before, it's like with the puppeteer, again, because I like the John Cotner stuff was very fascinating. I follow the John Cotner.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, even if Steven's not behind Cotner, which I don't think he is. I think Cotner's his own guy.
Maybe he is.
And he's got these people who protect him, right?
Yeah.
And fight with people who say, "Oh no, anyone who says Cotner's Elvis, they'll fight with you."
Oh yeah.
He's not Elvis, So I think one of the things Steven does is he finds these things and then reverse engineers to connect them. But eventually you just find dead ends, like with the puppeteer,
Yeah, the puppeteer is a dead end.
Was that just some fact he knew, and he goes, okay, now I'm going to connect it to this version of the story now, and then
right.
kind of
like what he did with Steve Rocco. Remember he was talking about
yeah, and how your response? Did you read him the response from him?
No, I didn't. From Haberman.
Oh no!
Yeah, from
the Haberman response. I haven't heard this yet. Yeah. Because earlier today, before the show, he's like, "Should I reach out to the guy?" And we go, "Yeah, sure. What the heck?" I had no idea he actually did it. It's so great.
I asked him the question: Did he know Andy was dating someone on his puppeteering staff? He's like, "Had no clue Andy was involved with anyone on our set. Unfortunately, Joe Camp died recently, and he might have known. I wish I could help you." And then he was talking about it was fun to do the puppets and stuff. Yeah.
So, interesting.
But he mentions Frank Camp, right?
Joe
Camp. Frank and Joe Camp. So Frank Inn was the trainer for Benji. Joe Camp was Benji's owner and breeder. Because there were multiple Benjis.
Yeah.
And Joe Camp just died recently. Frank Inn died a couple of years ago. So again, like I said, it was like the JFK. Anybody who tried to investigate the JFK stuff,
oh my gosh,
would hit people who died. So now it's this kind of thing too that like Steven is like pulling in, and now it's a dead end because you can now reach out
Well, also it's interesting how he talked about Steve Rubens is the doctor. We've heard that, Rubins. Was it Steve Rubens? Boy, wouldn't that be weird? No, wait. No, what was his? Was it Steve Rubens? Dr. Rubens.
Dr. Rubens, yeah.
This guy apparently was the guy that, if you've seen on the Puzzment station, have you seen a lot of those animations that he's done?
Yeah.
Where he goes in and he talks to Rubens. And he goes, okay, I'm making this alias, Nathan McCoy. I'm going to be that guy, Nathan McCoy. So there's this invisible entity. I'm taking on, there it is. I'm putting on the Nathan McCoy hat when I'm here. So that's why he was able to sneak in the other guy.
Yeah.
Because he's like, just tell me you're Nathan McCoy. And then all the, apparently all the staff was instructed to just be like, oh, that's Nathan McCoy. Even if they secretly knew or thought that they knew who the guy was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were instructed to say, this person in this room being pushed by Linda, right? Linda, the assistant, she's got a lot of, she's someone who'd be great to interview. And it's like, okay, this is Nathan McCoy, right? But Linda knows a lot.
But now, has anyone found records for Nathan McCoy, or is Nathan McCoy just another fake name?
Apparently that was a fake
extrapolated
alias.
from Kid McCoy, which was Andy's grandmother's nickname. You know, Kid McCoy. We
That's
Kid
right.
McCoy, and then Nathan. I always feel like Nathan Detroit, good old reliable Nathan Detroit from Guys and Dolls.
Oh.
Like so again, yeah. So even to try and search Nathan McCoy, you're gonna have a dead end.
Well, I was under the idea, the impression that Nathan McCoy was an invented name.
Yeah.
Just for an alias, because like I guess what would happen is because what Maddox was saying was apparently like a lot of these, and of course way back then it was easier. We didn't have cameras everywhere. We didn't have all kinds of records. They were all handwritten stuff. He was saying something like, back then, celebrities would frequently check into hotels or hospitals under these aliases.
Yep.
And so they're like, okay, yes, Mr. McCoy.
Yeah.
And
Like Paul McCartney, who was Paul Ramon, and that's the origin of the name the Ramones.
Ramones,
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
His original last name was Ramon?
Well, he checked in hotels under Paul Ramon.
Oh,
And
interesting.
that's where the Ramones came from,
Yeah.
because of Paul McCartney's alias. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Also, there's, what is it? Apollo something, and then there's Ian Iacamo or something. He had a few of those aliases.
Yeah.
And the Winged Beetle, they talk
Yeah.
about those as different aliases.
But
But check out Mike Williams. He's got a great YouTube channel all about the Beatles.
Really?
Basically saying there's no way that they could have written Rubber Soul in that short length of time within a month. He broke down all the reasons why.
Wow.
And there's this extra theory that he's saying that, the Wrecking Crew, as they call it, the Wrecking Crew, those are the dudes who actually played all the Beatles music, and the Beatles just simply sang on top of it.
Interesting. Wow.
So there's this whole thing. Poor Monkeys got thrown under the bus for this
Right.
stuff, but it's possible the Beatles did the same thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I was going to say, so sure, if Nathan McCoy was an alias that was used, but here's the thing: if you're going to pull off this illusion of a swap, you can't just create a guy out of whole cloth and say, "This is Nathan McCoy." You have to find an actual sick man and use his name as as that.
Well, I guess the idea is like, so imagine, so let's say I check into the hospital. This is the way I'm imagining it, is that he checks in the hospital, he talks to Rubens, and he goes, okay, we're making this agreement that from now on, I'm only going to be known as Nathan McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
My assistant Linda, who's right here, who is your patient. So there was the thing too. He was saying that Linda was a patient of Rubens, so she was frequently seen by him. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you know me. This is my boss. So this is my boss, Nathan McCoy. So then he just surmised, oh, her boss is Andy Kaufman. Oh, okay, he's Nathan McCoy. So now, next time, let's say he's wearing sunglasses that day, okay? And he's talking to Mr. Rubens with his sunglasses. Oh, this is my sick boss, Nathan McCoy. He's got his bald head. Next time she comes in, she's bringing in the fake dude, the veteran, who now is wearing the glasses.
The homeless veteran, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, no family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, Maddox says that, like, when people have cancer, I've seen it happen. When people have cancer, they look so totally different. So that guy's getting treatments. Meanwhile, and that was the thing. Didn't we ask him at some point, like, okay, well, Tony Danza says he saw him in the hospital, and his other friends and family said they saw him in the
Lynn
hospital.
says she watched him die.
So, and then, do you remember that? Remember that article where she said, I watched him die, but the only way that he could have faked his death is if someone would have switched bodies. She said that in this article, and I
say
thought
that,
that
yeah.
was interesting that she kind of left that little backdoor thing open.
Yeah, they're close.
Yeah.
Here's your fun fact. Your dog or cat can read your moods. If you're sad or under stress, you may also notice a difference in your dog or cat's behavior. Stay tuned to Inspirado Projecto for more fun facts.
Hi, this is Steve Peters, and you're listening to Inspirado Projecto.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
You don't know anyone that's open?
No, we don't know any.
We're not actually not from around here.
I thought that was funny that she put in that article, I watched him die, and the only way that he could have faked his death if someone switched bodies.
Which jives right in with Steve.
So it was funny that she left that little Easter egg there.
So now that's the thing. What's the timing of that article? Is that after Stephen has been telling the story, or is that the impetus for Stephen to create the story?
That's interesting.
So again, there's got to be a timeline. A nice timeline would help so much. So much.
And we were talking about that, where she had that archaeology, the Book of Steve. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that was such a crazy thing, right? Like, wait, you're telling me that your brother's name is Steve? Why does he have to be Steve? Mm-hmm. Out of all the names in the world, couldn't it be just something different? You know, why does it got to get jumbled up into Stephen Maddox stuff? Like, couldn't it just be something different? Now we're even more confused than ever.
Yeah.
You know? Because we saw the Book of Stephen on the AndyKaufmanLives.com site before it was changed to Book of Illusion.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that was a funny thing too, because he was genius at piggyback writing on things that were like on the AndyKaufmanLives.com website. He would piggyback write on something that was like popular at the time. Remember with the O.J. Simpson book that came out, If I Did It.
Yep. And
So then Maddox on the AndyKaufmanLives.com site, it said, If I Faked It.
Yeah.
He's like, read my new book, If I Faked It. And then what he would do is, and this is interesting because I noticed this, I would highlight the page and you'd find tiny, tiny little words. You wouldn't be able to find them unless you highlighted it, and then I would have to copy that and then paste it into a Word document and then blow it up to see what those words were. And so he was hiding O.J. Simpson, like hundreds and thousands of times in white that matched the white background.
Yep.
So it was right there in plain sight, but only if you highlighted it.
He did he do that with Stephen Rocco's name on
Yes,
the
yes,
site
the Stephen
too?
Rocco,
Like,
yep.
Like it was like you had to do that highlighting and it
Yes.
was all on the background. Yeah.
So it would get stuck at the early days of internet, where it would bring people to that website. Oh my God, it's so brilliant the way he did this stuff. Oh, and then that was the other thing too. This was the other thing. Remember when I forgot who it was, but they were saying like 2005 was supposed to be the end of the world or something. There were billboards that said 2005, this particular date.
Yeah.
Steve Maddox then on AndyKaufmanLives.com then said, he said something like Judgment Day, and he used that exact same date, Judgment Day, and that was the impetus behind his disciples, aka those of us who talked to him on the phone. That was the whole. He was just doing a whole parody of that whole thing that was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brilliant the way that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, now we're more confused than we were.
More confused than ever.
We thought we got a straight story, which was legit and believable to me. But again, it's the guy's been doing it for so long. He's so good at it. It's just, this is why it's so much fun.
And there's got to be some kind of truth in this thing, because unless just to be, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just a big funny inside joke between him and Diane.
Right.
Right. DIANNE,
yes,
which I think is always funny.
Photo Claire.
That's right, Photo Claire. Remember that whole? Did you guys remember seeing that? The photos of when these people visited Emerald Lane in Indiana, and they showed Photo Claire, but you only saw the back of her head.
Yep.
And then you saw, and it was his buddy, Hardy.
Yeah.
Dave Hardy.
Yeah.
Another Hardy.
Yep.
Dave Hardy, who I found on Facebook, and I tried to ask him about Stephen Maddox, and he goes, I'm like, why did he make AndyKaufmanLives.com? And he goes, that's none of my business. You have to ask Stephen. And I'm going, okay, Mr. Hardy, I think maybe you know more than we really think.
And that's the thing. Is it a you're getting too close, or is it we don't want to associate with this guy? Right?
Right.
I mean, so who knows? Like again, Stephen has said that he has worked in various film and television production stuff. So he could legitimately have these connections. And, now we have seen his voice, we've seen a little bit of his head, but everything he does, you're not seeing his face for the most part, So
No.
but yet he's allowing his name now to really be out there.
Yeah, isn't it? It's just so crazy and puzzling, right? On YouTube, he's just going like a freaking waterfall, man.
Yeah. Well, again, he said once he was outed, he was sort of like the cat's out of the bag, and going with the Running Man thing. It just that amuses him, and that's a great thing to tie it in. But again, yeah, I mean, there's that open anonymity, which is very intriguing, and it's like, okay, why?
Well, then of course when he went to that place and that guy, he shows him. How crazy was that? He shows him his
you're the
ID.
guy, yeah.
And then in the thing, he's cutting out like pieces of sound, and he goes, "Oh, the cameras were trained in my direction, so I had to move out of the way to make it even more mysterious."
Yeah.
And then later, he actually posted the full, unedited version. Remember that? It was an unlisted thing.
Yeah.
I think he posted on the Deep Mouth account. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that guy! It's so fun just to see what he's going to come up with next. What's he doing next?
And then again, like in February, the dragon was sleeping.
Yeah.
And then we do the thing, and now it's Maddox all the time again.
Dude, it is.
Now
Man.
he's saying he's done with it, but he's not done. He's
Isn't
still
that
doing
funny?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was so funny. He's like, okay, this is the end of it. No more. And then he's brought out even more than ever before. So now you're going, okay, well, what are you doing here?
It's going to be fascinating the next 6 months. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think, like I said, I think that this is such a milestone year for Andy's history that it's weird that the 2 honorifics were done last year and yet nothing for this year. And, and I know people love round numbers, and I think that that's just really interesting to just let this year go by without anything. Maybe this documentary, thank you very much, but that he doesn't even have a release date yet,
Yeah.
Do you guys remember a kid? He was in it for a while. Andrew Buss. Remember seeing that name now and again?
Yeah.
He's a young fella, and he was out in Los Angeles at some point, and I met him at Jerry's Deli, where Kaufman used to work. I met him out there because I'd seen him. We communicated, on Twitter and whatnot, and he was writing a screenplay that he had gotten the okay for by the estate, by the family. In a sense, it was a biopic kind of movie, but it was a totally different twist on it. And I'm just very curious, like, if that too is still percolating. Also, do you remember when we kept seeing stuff about Kaufmania?
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a documentary.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that?
I know, yeah.
And apparently John Legend was behind it or something. I can't remember.
And that's the thing, is it just like people are ambitious, they start a project, and then it just falls apart on them, which can happen, or are they hitting legal roadblocks along the way? So,
Well, I frequently thought, okay, if we get, let's say the 3 of us, if we brainstorm and we put this together, I frequently have thought, what could be a product or an idea that we could present to the Kaufman estate that they would go, we like that, we the stamp for approval, and we give you the total okay to go ahead with that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an animation, maybe it's a particular, I don't know, a scarf with Andy's face on it. I don't know what it would be, really, bath bombs. I don't know what the heck the thing would be, but what a cereal, what would be the thing that could get them to say yes, and we want to collaborate with you, and then guess what? As we collaborate with them, little by little, we just nudge them a little bit. Oh yeah, Steve Maddox? Who's he?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. We just start asking him questions. We start asking little questions about some of this stuff, just to see, like, well, okay, maybe they'd spill the beans to us.
Now again, Michael is sort of off on his own, but Michael, I don't know if Michael still lives in New Jersey, but I know for a while he was living in New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what part?
I almost want to say Wayne.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why I thought Michael was behind the Proof Andy Kaufman is Dead video, because for some reason it just felt very New Jersey to me, the way it was filmed. But I don't know. I mean, but Michael would be a good one to try and
the
reach
German
out to.
film crew one?
Yeah, German film crew, yeah.
That's right.
So again, like, Michael would be a great one to reach out to try and see what he would be willing to contribute. I'm still going to work on Jeremy, and if that can get me closer to Bob and Tony again.
Also, Chris Maloney came out with the podcast.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
about
right.
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
And he interviewed Andy's daughter.
Yep.
Daughter. He interviewed Michael. Michael actually endorses it. Remember, Maddox put it in the talked about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think within the thread.
Did you see one of his last 2 videos on the Puzzmen where he talks about how he fucked with Chris Maloney?
Oh, I did see that one.
How Maloney was doing the documentary and he reached out to Steven, and Steven said, well, let me see your resume, let me see your credentials, and he said, oh, I'm involved with this production company. So Maddox calls that production company and says, oh, tell me about this kid Chris Maloney. He goes, oh, he interned for us for like a few months, like he's not really tied in with us. So then Maddox confronted Maloney with that.
Oh my gosh, I think I remember seeing this on Twitter or something.
And then Maloney was like, okay, never mind, like I guess cut off communication. But then when Maddox did the press conference the day after the movie premiered at Rutgers.
Oh yeah.
Maloney goes, how dare you? How dare you tie yourself to my movie?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was happening after the screening. So. And then I remember he was telling you that that day, or maybe you talked about it on your podcast, or at that hotel where you went to meet Maddox. Yeah. There's a bunch of costume characters, like some kind of strange thing going on.
Vampire.
Vampire. That's what it was. Vampire.
And then he brought the monster mask, which is fucking great. Like,
And it was me and him in a room, and he was wearing the monster mask. It was very uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. Did you think you were gonna get killed?
I didn't know, but I was trying to gauge in person his body language, his height, everything else, and I kind of got the sense it wasn't Andy.
Do you have a feeling that maybe he's a big guy?
Yeah, I think.
He seems pretty tall. Yeah. And so the guy you met in that hotel room, based on the conversations we've had and the videos that he's been posting, it's still that's the same guy. Yeah.
So
funny.
I can't believe I met him, but he had the mask on.
Oh my god, I love it.
And then I think he mailed me that mask.
I was gonna say, I think he mailed it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a little button on the Tony Clifton at Chiller. So, so Stuart, right, the guy who brought Tony to Chiller, has this great story where the Sunday, Bob comes down, maybe a little hungover because or just sleepy because we were up that late. Because he was like, Stuart heard this story and he goes, I wish I was there, And I was like, he's like, no one asked me to come to the hotel room. I was like, I don't know, Stuart, I'm sorry. But Stuart had the creme de la creme because Bob comes up to him and he's like, this is great. I had a really good time. Thank you for having me. I want you to have this. And he hands him a Ziploc bag with Tony's prosthetic nose.
Oh my God.
Wow. And I said, wow.
What a crazy, unexpected gift.
I was like, what'd you do with it? He goes, it's still in a Ziploc bag on like a bookshelf. I was like, I would have put that in like a baseball thing, like shine light on it.
Oh, you shine a light on it.
Wow.
So the glowing nose.
So when does your tour wrap up?
August 12th.
August 12th.
But now we're hearing that we might have a gig out in the Hamptons on the August 16th.
Very nice.
So we might
come back down this way.
Yeah, we might.
And how do you run Inspirado Projecto? When do you record that? What do you do?
Well,
you got to be
since
home
I've been on
for
tour,
that.
I haven't done that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I can record it right here.
Oh, okay.
So I've been basically, like I used to use Anchor.fm.
Okay,
that was a podcast.
Yep.
Recording app, and it was cool because you could edit in there. You could add like little like music interludes, stuff like that. You could kind of put stuff together. So Spotify was a big donor of that. Like they helped it get going, and they eventually just kind of ate it up.
Yeah.
Took it over, and so they started cutting out some of the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like you used to be able to leave like voice messages for other podcasters, so then they can include it on their show as a little piece, and then people go, oh wow, this is that podcast. And it was the coolest thing. You could just do such cool stuff. Now what I do is I just record it in here and then I upload it to Spotify. I do a little editing, I suppose.
Yeah.
I try to add interludes and whatnot, and then upload it to Spotify.
Do you ever do video podcasts at all, or? Cause,
I haven't done any, but I'd love to.
StreamYard is pretty good for video.
StreamYard?
Yeah. They've got to give you some good editing tricks and chyrons, and it will also allow you to post on multiple platforms.
Oh, yeah, you can just download the audio then too, huh?
Yeah, you can even do it audio because the semi-weekly comic podcast I do, he uses StreamYard for that.
Oh.
So basically what I'm thinking is, because it's 1 o'clock and
we have to wrap it up soon.
It's been such a joy talking to you guys.
Oh,
This
it's
is
oh my God,
we
this
could
is
go
fucking
so many
fantastic.
directions,
I know.
so many directions.
Yeah, because I got to bring my
We do this
cat
a lot more.
to the vet at 8:30 to get her leg bandaged again.
Oh.
Yeah, she broke her leg a month ago.
Oh.
She's a clumsy cat. But anyway, so I'm almost thinking. So you've got a lot to sift through and edit down, right?
There's going to be no editing.
Oh, this is going to be nice.
No editing.
So I'm almost thinking the next piece, I would love to be on your Inspirado Projecto.
Sure.
After the tour. When do you think you're going to put this up?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. All right.
Oh, I love it. That is great.
So we'll have this out there for about a month.
I love it.
Or almost a month. Let it sit through. And then let's see if this brings anything to the surface.
Yeah.
We reconvene with your podcast and see if we could do like another, like, an audio sit down or whatever, and more than an hour that I allowed on my thing. And then just kind of see what we've come up with, I guess, since then. But
I think it's just a lot of the people who used to be involved just don't know that it's back. So, so eventually I think there'll be more people realizing it.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool to get the whole gang back together.
It would.
We could for yours, just have
would.
it make it a real Crisis on Infinite podcast. Like, get Brandon and let's get Jack. I know Jack doesn't really have a phone, so Jack we got to figure out how we could get Jack in. One of the great things that I like.
Payphone, maybe? Can you call
Oh,
him?
yeah. He seems like someone who just have payphones.
Yeah. One of the great things
Off-grid.
about this has been, because I know Jack and Steven had a falling out. A bit
Why? And I don't get
a bit
that.
of a
Why?
miscommunication.
Oh. That's crazy.
I know you're not going to edit. I don't know how much of this I can share, but basically Jack told me after the Lundberg thing, like, something weird happened between him and Lundberg, and Lundberg was like reaching out to him in a weird way or something, and Jack got really paranoid and scared. And this is when his Lyme disease was like raging.
Oh, poor dude
and
with the Lyme
so
disease.
he, I think, thought Steven was trying to reach out to him and felt it was malicious. He goes, I was all fucked up and paranoid.
Wow.
Yeah. And apparently told people about this, and those people confronted Steven, and then that sort of caused that rift.
It's too bad.
But Steven is now making overtures to reach out to Jack.
He is.
And I don't know if Jack has been reciprocal or not. But I've noticed that, Steven has been telling, Jack, follow me on this Twitter handle. And
good.
So if we could smooth that over completely to get Jack, because remember, Steven sent Jack
the
those
tickets to go see
Tony,
Yeah.
Like,
and plus he spotted him at the Carl's Jr., remember that? He's like, I saw Jack Bristow at the Carl's Jr. He's like, I saw this young-looking Elvis dude, And how crazy would that be, dude? Imagine you're in line at Carl's Jr. and Steve Maddox is right over there, doesn't say a damn word.
But he knows it's
Oh, my
you.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And again, with this whole thing that Steven says, Andy is paying attention and Andy's watching, there's been those situations where I'm sort of like, I encounter somebody and I'm like, I don't know. Just a guy watching you or a guy interacting you, and you're like, something weird.
I think I saw Thomas Pynchon once, but that's a whole nother topic.
Did he have a big paper bag with a question mark over his head, like on The Simpsons?
It was at the premiere of Inherent Vice in New York City.
Huh.
And I saw a guy coming out of the restroom, and I had this is a whole separate thing. I've scrutinized the few pictures of him that are available. I think I walked past him, but
that's cool.
We don't want to get into another rabbit hole.
Oh my gosh. There's so many rabbit holes.
Well, we cracked this one. We got to find another one.
Oh,
right? But I think it would be really cool if maybe for that or another fourth chapter or whatever, to try and bring as many of these people in and really replicate. Oh, they're close. Really replicate the old.
They're closed. Unfortunately,
the old Google Hangout.
Oh yeah.
Model. Yeah,
that would be fun.
Well, Zoom.
Yeah.
So your lady?
That's my lady.
All right.
So I'm gonna.
All right. So wow, this has been.
This has been so
I'm
delightful.
Over here.
Okay, I'm headed this way too.
This has been.
Amazing, surreal. Oh my gosh.
So cool. I am, dude. Again,
This is the kind of brain food, man, that is so nutritious. It hits the spot.
But again, just seeing you guys and interacting with you guys is so good. Like,
I feel like I've known you guys forever.
Like when you were in New York, you know, where did you guys play in New York 2 years ago? What was that?
Electric City is the name of the place.
Right. You know, I really
We're gonna
wanted
be back
to try.
in there. Albany, that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh no, you were in the city 2 years ago. Remember when I had you on my show? Yeah.
What was that? We were like a couple of blocks away from Broadway. So
yeah, it was like right.
We played off Broadway.
Yeah.
But it was I forgot what the name of that place was.
Yeah, I'll go back and double check. But
Are you feeling curious about Andy Kaufman lately and want to learn more? The new mini album, Andy Kaufman is Alive, is a perfect companion piece to your Andy Kaufman vision quest, created over the course of 20 years while investigating the mystery of Andy Kaufman faking his death. These 4 melodic songs are sure to give you even more questions. Andy Kaufman is Alive by Eric Glendenin is now on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, and other favorite streaming sites.
you know, because like that was so cool that you again had a ticket for me for that I couldn't make.
Yeah.
And I always wonder if somebody ever did try to go in. No one listens to my show. like that was the thing when I was like, oh my god, like Steven's hyping this podcast. So I got to make sure that Hercules could put him in if he's there. And Hercules like, yeah, there's only one other guy. I'm guessing it's him.
I'm this way.
That's great.
But you know, and
You
I
parked over here too? Or?
yeah, actually on
Oh,
Hart
cool.
and Maple, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So like, and I'd have tried to like when I was working with Amazon, and I was trying, you know, we had that soft opening. I invited you out for that. You could, you know, so I've always been trying to facilitate some sort of meetup with you guys. So I'm glad this finally fucking happened.
It's so fun. The fact that both of you were available for this, man. This reminds me. You know, it's so funny because I was having flashbacks of like when I'd see the Network 54 boards and those people. There was a group of people that apparently, I guess they went out to the old Burger Chef or something.
Okay, that's the other weird piece.
And those people took pictures of themselves out in front of there, like, oh, we showed up, and you know, whatever. Andy Kaufman never showed up like he promised or something. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Steven has this really weird obsession with Burger Chef and the Burger Chef murder specifically.
Yes.
And I've never, and it's funny because where I was at with those messages and stuff that he was sending me, I felt like he was starting to get into the Burger Chef stuff, and I missed all of it. Right?
Oh my gosh,
And
he seemed to get deep into it. He knows all these alternative perspectives that no one else does. Apparently.
What is it because
what he said was he knew someone who was going to be working that night, but swapped shifts with someone.
Okay, so
Oh,
that's
And he claims in the 90s he was doing research for a TV program about it.
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
Okay, that
I
makes
did press
sense.
him on it a little bit. Yeah.
Because I was wondering, did he know somebody that
Yeah, he
was
says he knows
part of
somebody.
it, or
Yeah.
was supposed, that makes sense.
I guess
yeah.
he
One of his bandmates, right? One of his buddies from the Sassy Brass or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I mean, I guess this woman was going to be working that night, swap shifts with someone, and that person wound up getting killed, and
That's
the whole thing. And then I guess there was a premiere of the movie about the Burger Chef murders, and Steve was there.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Where
right.
was that though? I guess it was in Indiana, maybe.
I think so, because we were talking to him in a Twitter thing, going, well, because I tried to find some IMDb contacts for him.
Okay.
To contact these people to tell them, look, here's this additional information. And I go, here are these people. And he goes, I'm standing right next to the director or whatever. I'm like, oh, of course you are, Steven. You know, well, okay, are you going to talk to him about this?
And weirder.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think being from Indiana, that would be like a sort of local legend mystery kind of thing.
Yeah, probably.
And if you're right in that region, sure, then that's a thing, you know. So, where's your bus? Are you guys in this as well, or?
Oh no, oh no, the bus is back at the place.
Yeah, because I'm actually on Maple.
Oh, so you're in here?
Yeah.
So, all right, man.
All right.
Dude, Frankie, baby. Oh, it was great meeting you. Oh my God, dude. I can't believe it.
This is going to be an epic episode.
It is. Are you going to divide it into parts, or is it going to be one big bam?
Episode.
Oh my
It'll be
God.
about 6 hours long.
Yeah, I love
I
it.
can't wait to hear your.
Oh
2
yeah.
hours.
That was quite remarkable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Come to Fairlawn anytime. I know it's
I do
tough.
want to come up one of these days because I definitely can come up there.
And heck, you know his comic shop.
Yeah. So.
All right. So
All right.
Oh my God, you guys.
Reconvene. We reconvene soon.
You better believe it.
Bless you, Frank. Get
Oh
home
yeah.
safe.
Oh yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I can't believe it. Freaking Frank Nora, dude.
I know.
It's amazing. He's right there.
Well,
Oh
this
my God.
to me too, and it's so funny because it's like, I know you've had the long hair beard look for a while.
Oh yeah.
I still always picture short hair Kurt.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. Oh yeah.
So-
I had to grow this long hair and beard for a movie that my buddy we've been trying to make before the pandemic, and so, you know, he's like, we're still gathering money. We're still gathering money. So, I think probably once I shoot that movie, then I'll be cutting my hair.
Yeah.
But it is crazy because once you start, because I told him, I said, man, can I have a wig or something? Can I have like a beard or something?
Right. But now that can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because then I started researching long hair and realizing like the Native Americans, that's why they grew long hair, because it was like an antenna. It helped them like sense things.
Yep.
And then when
Like a cat's whiskers.
yeah, exactly. And then when the military started employing the trackers, like the Native Americans who were like really good at tracking, they made them shave their heads, and they weren't good at tracking anymore because they shaved their heads. I thought that's incredible.
It's the Samson and Delilah.
Oh,
thing.
oh.
So.
Wait, where are you parked?
So I believe it was the corner street was the Heart and Maple. So let me see what this does to me here. And again, thank you for putting me in on that IMDb listing for the David Duchovny movie.
Oh yeah.
I obviously didn't get in the movie. I saw the movie. The guy did a great job who got that part. But that was fun, man. Thank you.
Oh my
for that.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to talk to my sources. I took a lot of partners to do that.
It was fun. It was just, I was like, even though I was like, didn't go anywhere, I was like, oh, look at this, and showing people the listing.
Good.
And,
Oh, I love
I
it.
just had a
Oh, I
good
love
time
it.
with it. So yeah, I think I'm down this way.
It's so fun. It's just great because then it plants a seed, you know, in the brains, and they wonder what's this all about. And
You know, and that's the thing is like, you know, I do have all these great ambitions, like for the show. Like again, like we're trying to get like, you know, maybe if I can get Bob or maybe if I can get Lynn or whatever. I just fucking love doing the fucking pep talk. Like it's just, I love that opportunity to just have like a casual conversation once a month with somebody who's really interesting, who I know, and pretend like it's a talk show.
Yes.
I love doing it, you know. So.
well, I had the joy of because I guess I'm still technically. Wait,
So I gotta go this way.
Oh, good, yeah. 'Cause my bus is that way. I
Okay,
think.
yeah, because you're pretty much right in front of the venue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll walk you to the venue and then I can backtrack.
Oh,
better
cool,
from there.
cool.
Yeah. So.
But I had I'm still part of this radio station. It's called K-Chung.
Yes.
16:30 a.m. And that started obviously before my podcast, but I wanted, it was only basically like once a month, and so I wanted to keep it going. So that's how I came up with the podcast, Inspirado Projecto. And I actually interviewed Alexandra Tatarsky, a.k.a. the daughter of Andy Kaufman, on that show. I found out that she was in town, and what I found out was there's this guy named Tony, who I'd run into all the time on the street, who worked at a video store called Eddie Brandt's. And I'd see him all the time walking up the street, and he's like, oh yeah, I don't know how he started talking about it. But he goes, oh yeah, my girlfriend, she's best friends with that Alexandria chick, the one, says she was Andy Kaufman's daughter. I said, really? He goes, oh yeah. And I said, well, I want to interview her, for my radio show. Please let me know if she's ever in town or whatever. So one day I'm walking down the street, I see him, and he goes, hey, by the way, my friend's, my girlfriend's friend, Alexandra Tatarsky, the Andy Kaufman chick, she's going to be in town in about a week. And I'm like, are you serious? I said, please pass my information on to her. And right when she happened to be in town, it was perfect. It aligned perfectly with when my radio show was going to be on. Of course, the stars aligned.
Yeah.
And so I was asking her about stuff. I was trying to dance around stuff. I guess I didn't have the courage to really like dive deep in there and just like make her uncomfortable in a big way. But she was saying that she didn't know. Oh, she was talking about how anyone connected with Andy Kaufman, whether it's Michael, whether it's Lynn, Bob, she said she met them, and they all have a sadness about them. There's this sadness surrounding them and Andy Kaufman. There's just this, like, And it makes sense, you know, they're still kind of grieving about this guy.
Yeah.
You know, they're still having to uphold this legacy.
And you gotta wonder, like, okay, whether so if he is dead or if he's alive, but they don't know, you gotta wonder, how does that make them feel? Like, on one hand, it's like, oh, it's great that's preserving the legacy, it's keeping it going.
Yeah.
But it's got to be very painful too, because he's not there.
Yes.
Even if he is alive, he's not there.
Yeah.
And I could see that sadness. I could see that sadness permeating it, whether you know for a fact or not, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's tough, man, you know, but you know, and again, there's still got to be that sense of like, wow, that people are still honoring his legacy. He's got to be that he's not there to share that.
And plus, let's say if they know that he's alive, they know that he faked his death. There's that aspect of like, uh-oh, what am I allowed to spill the beans on? What am I not allowed to spill the beans on?
Yeah.
I was never specifically instructed what not to spill the beans on, you know?
Or that sadness of, it's like an ex, you know? I can't, I want to reconnect, but I can't. I have to keep that distance, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, So the whole thing is as fascinating, as fun as it is for us on this side. Yeah, I could see it being very painful and hard for the people that were closest, you know?
Well, one of the things that's puzzling to me is that letter that Michael got. So he reads it in the Chris Maloney documentary, you know, we voiced in that little piece.
Yeah.
And he's reading that. But then when he rereads, so then he goes to read a letter when he's on CNN or whatever that was, and they're grilling him on the daughter.
Yeah.
He was reading passages, like, it seemed like the exact same passages.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why, like, if it was a full letter, why not pick out any other thing that was in there? Why the exact same, only those little tiny pieces?
And that's the thing.
As before.
If it's a full letter with instructions, this is what can be repeated, this is what can
Oh, that makes sense.
There might be, if it is legit, there might be incriminating information in that. You know?
That makes sense. Well, and then one of the things was, because I talked to John Lundberg, I go, is there a couple of letters or whatever? It was a while ago, and back before he kind of just disappeared. And he said there are two different letters. He claims that the letter that Michael reads to Chris Maloney is one of the letters, and then the one that he reads on CNN or whatever is a different one. But it's not like it was the same one. So I was completely
interesting
confused about that.
Yeah, that Lundberg, he is a big question mark on this.
I know.
Thing too. And just again, did he get too close, and that's why it all got shut down? Like, it's so bizarre.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Because was there, it seemed at some point, and I don't exactly know what it was, but remember when Maddox was doing the Kaufman Carnival?
Yes, yeah.
And then something got gunked up in the works there. I think a mirror ball had something to do with it. You know a mirror ball, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you parked down this way?
I think I'm parked down this way.
Oh,
Where's
dude.
your bus?
Oh, that way, but I can walk you to your car.
I'll walk you this way.
Oh, sure.
Because I'm not 100% sure where my car is. So I have to meander.
Does that street look familiar?
Yeah, I think this is the street I might have turned down. So.
Like far down there? You parked far down?
I was like, okay, I know where I'm here. Now I'm just going to try and find parking. And I made a couple turns. I remember the cross streets, so once I go down, I'll be able to figure it out. So I'm not too worried.
This is amazing. Like, dude, this is like a monolith. I've never seen, like, these kinds of structures exist out here. It's phenomenal.
So Morristown, New Jersey, around during the Revolutionary War. So Morristown is one of the older cities or towns from Revolution. So you still have a lot of Revolutionary era structures, or just when construction, or even 1800s.
So they've respected the original buildings
in some respects. Yeah. Morristown was definitely very much key. Did Washington have an encampment here? I think. I can't remember exactly, but a lot of these structures in New Jersey, they do try to hew to the older aesthetic. But again, in the 60s and 70s, a lot of that stuff was getting knocked down, and box buildings were coming up. But yeah, New Jersey has been very good about preserving some of that old architecture.
There's like all these brick buildings. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's not modern construction. Yeah, it's
It's
cool.
such a rarity.
Yeah. Yeah, New Jersey's a weird mix, man. There's a lot of industrial, but then there's a lot of just great old world stuff too. So,
Gosh. What do you think? What do you think Andy Kaufman did the day after he faked his death? I've often wondered about this.
What do you do the day after you fake your death?
What do you do?
Rob a bank.
Right. I got a whole new identity now.
I don't know. I would think lay low. I think there's that whole. He went to Aruba for some time.
Okay, so you think
right?
he probably got out of the country?
I would think. There was that whole thing where it's like one of the things Maddox was saying was like, look,
Orange Dad Aruba, right?
Yeah, but also it's like, look, you made a lot of money on the show, and you just kept a lot of cash in bags. And then you go away, you lie low for a long time, and then eventually you come back. I know.
Look at that, we're following the rabbit.
Literally, right?
Oh my God, I love it.
That's great.
That's great symbolic representation. Holy cow, and it didn't even run away from us.
No, that was, yeah.
But it's crazy because we've heard about Aruba. We've heard these different, do you think he called up Lynn like he did Maddox and say, hey, guess what? Did you read the obituary?
I think legally, once that person is, even if you're in on it, which Bob may have been, which Lynn may have been, which the family may have been, legally, once that person is declared dead, for their safety, you have to cut off all contact.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
So
that makes sense. I'm curious how many people questioned it. I'm curious how many people actually actively thought he could have faked it. And now let's look for the paperwork.
From my recollection, I was 9 years old when he died. I remember vividly about when he died. And from my recollection, I feel like it was almost immediately that people were like, this guy, maybe not, that could just be me backfilling holes in my memory, and it could have been some years later, but from my recollection, as far back as the mid-'80s, it was a thing that Andy Kaufman possibly faked his death.
Well, now, do you remember seeing on one of the Maddox channels where, I'm sure it was on Network 54 or something like this, where we were shown pictures of what was a blue coffin, apparently, that Andy was supposedly put into. However, there's that footage outside, and I think Alan Abel talks, while he's talking in the Maloney video, you actually see it is a brown, a much larger casket.
Yeah.
Basically, that's being pushed into.
Yes.
This is Stu Strauss, the Woodsman, and you're listening to Inspirado Projecto.
Thank you so much, Stu Strauss, for that promo. Stu Strauss is one of the woodsmen on Twin Peaks: The Return. If you remember that part where there's that woodsman whose eyes, he's just staring off into space and his head kind of floats off, that's Stu. I've had him in the studio for the Inspirado Projecto radio broadcast on K-Chung. Also, we had Steve Peters on here. He called the hotline. This is for any of you. You can call the hotline, 561-203-9179. It goes straight to voicemail. And if you leave it on there, then I can use it on the show. I can weave it into the show. Steve Peters makes immersive sort of ARGs. He worked on Mesmer and Braid, which tied into the Hollow Vista app. Very, very good stuff. I had him on the show, and Nick Tierce, his cohort. Now let's. What are your thoughts so far of the episode with Frank and John? I mean, these guys are saying some intriguing stuff, aren't they? I'm going to put some stuff in the description, some of these Andy Kaufman links that we've been talking about during this show. I'm going to put them in the description there for you, and a bunch of other fun links for you to check out. There'll be hyperlinks. When you click on it, it'll take you right there. Thanks for listening to Inspirado Projecto. Remember, 561-203-9179.
Are we anywhere near the place that I played tonight?
It's that way. We went a few blocks, so we're gonna go back this way.
So wait, but like the place that I played at, where the heck is that?
Oh, that was that way. We passed out a couple.
Oh, we
blocks.
did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, all right.
That's where I was going.
It was before the rabbit. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought you said you were further down.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh,
No.
I got mixed up.
So then there's the other thing too about traditional Jewish funerals and how those happen. How there's never an open casket for a traditional Jewish funeral, but yet Andy's casket, I believe, was open, which again is another weird thing.
Yeah.
I also know that for a Jewish funeral, from what I think I know is that it's a very modest coffin. It's not something elaborate and polished and shiny. Like it's usually just a wooden box.
Oh.
I could be now that again. That's just
interesting.
Very minimal personal experience on that. So I don't know what the actual rules are and the standards are. So again, that's interesting that there might be multiple coffins now at play. So.
Well, then there's the curious question of who's working at the funeral home that day. You know, who's working there that day, wherever that was held.
Right.
And what do they know about it? You know, were they paid off to do certain things?
Yeah. Or at that point, it's just a body, and you don't really know.
Right.
You know, and you're not. You know, and again, it doesn't look like him. Well, you change after death or when you're sick. You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff is people who wouldn't really need to know, right?
Yeah.
So.
Man, and then there's just Mr. Rubens, Dr. Rubens. Like,
that's the thing. It's
what
the
did he totally
staff.
know?
It's the hospital staff. It's the few nurses, the doctor. There's Rabbit's still there.
Like it'd be wow, it'd be interesting. Like I frequently thought about trying to get a hold of Rubens, but like not knowing exactly what questions I could ask or to warm him up to divulging information.
That's the other thing too, because you're holding on to this for 40 years if you are involved, and somebody comes at you like you don't deny,
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you? That's again, it's like a religion. You will never know for a fact.
Yeah.
What is there a God, or is it just a fucking cloud?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
yeah.
these things that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life, but you're never going to know for sure. I know there's a lot of speculation. Case in point, very recently, a lot of speculation about what happened on Saturday. Right? Who was behind that? And these are things that we're just never gonna fucking know.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like it's speaking of Melody again, she's been going on now. She's like, just you watch, Steven Spielberg is going to be the next person to be revealed as having these connections to like Jeffrey Epstein and things like that, and it's like, but will we ever really know? Right? Like, even if the evidence comes to light, there's always going to be some, I remember there were for years rumors about Richard Donner. Now Richard Donner's dead. So no one's ever going to fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just certain things that are just going to be beyond our grasp.
And you
Moon
see
landing, we'll never fucking know.
Right.
And
then when you see names on a flight log, names like Bill Murray, and you go, no, why him?
Right. Well,
right? You go, come on.
But here's the thing, and here's the thing why Epstein was so untouchable. He had a lot of friends that weren't necessarily tied into that world, and he was always willing to give somebody a lift if they needed it, right? So that's where a lot of that comes in, And now that's Bill's story. Oh, I was just going from A to B, and I was just hitching a ride with this guy.
I gotcha.
So the flight logs are a little more suspect as far as actually being tied in to his whole fucking gross circle. Phone logs and certain things like that. That's where you're, so...
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There's the venue.
Right? Okay. So, I'm just right around the corner there.
Cool.
Wait, are we anywhere near close to park where you're parked?
I know I made a left and then a right at some point. So I guess you're right this way?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go left, and then I'll find it from there eventually. So
You're pretty aware of where it might be?
Yeah. I'm not concerned. As long as it didn't get towed, which I don't think it did.
I can't believe it. This has been so delightful. We got a chance to
this is fucking
go down
cool.
the rabbit hole. It feels very like, ooh, it feels so satisfying to be able to like crack open a can of worms,
little
right?
bit,
And
little
talk
bit,
about it. Yeah.
But again, also just to have the face-to-face.
Yes.
And that's, to me, that's so cool.
Yeah,
Because,
dude.
Because like I was like, I'm glad you and Frank got to have that 2 hours because you guys were here at the beginning. I only came in later, and it's because of you guys that I really got more invested in it, but also because of it that I got to know you guys and love what you guys do.
Dude,
And
I
it's
love
just-
it.
the fact that you could know somebody for 15 years and meet them across the country on the internet.
Yes.
And be simpatico.
Yeah.
And then you meet and it's like your old friends.
Yeah, dude.
That's fucking beautiful.
You guys, it was so fun. Thanks for letting me record this, man. It was so kick-ass, dude.
Yeah.
I can't wait to listen to more of your episodes. I can't wait for us to collaborate more and to create ridiculous stuff, man.
Have a great rest of your tour,
Oh,
man.
my God.
You are fucking killing it with this thing.
Thank you.
You guys have it down, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, can't we talk to you again, man?
All right, brother. Take care. You too. Wow. Holy cow. That was satisfying. Between talking to Frank earlier today and talking to Frank and John Pepe, this is wow. So satisfying. So exciting. So exciting. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Inspirado Projecto. I hope that this was entertaining to you and you got a lot out of it. All right, talk to you later.
Hello there. This is John Carl Pepe, host of The Pep Talk, and you are listening to Inspirado Projecto.